Joining me now, as this stimulus bill has appeared to have gotten over a major hurdle in the U.S. Senate and now goes to the House for hopefully what will be unanimous consent, Alfredo Ortiz. He's the president and CEO of the Job Creators Network. And this organization, the number one leading voice of small business, has propelled itself into the forefront in these negotiations. Alfredo Ortiz has had numerous one-on-one discussions with both Peter Navarro in the White House, along with the Secretary of Treasury, Steve Mnuchin. He's been a big part of leading the small business end of what is in this bill as we deal with this coronavirus, and he's joining us now. Alfredo Ortiz, great to have you, man.
Hey, John. It is a great day today because my most four favorite words were just spoken by McConnell just a few hours ago. We have a deal.
I know, finally, right? And the left-wing whack job crackpot goodie bag got carved out. And one thing that I agreed with the Democrats on is they really wanted oversight of this $500 billion so it doesn't end up being a piggy bank for the Secretary of the Treasury to hang out to his Goldman Sachs cronies.
Absolutely.
So I applaud the Democrats for fighting that battle. Now, let's get to small businesses. I haven't seen the bill. We can only know what's been reported on, the speculation of it. To your knowledge, tell us about what it does for small businesses.
Yeah, well, we're really excited. Just the quick laundry list here, John, then I'll pop back right into the small business. But you're right. It was $500 billion in corporate aid with the proper oversight. So I think everybody was in agreement with that, frankly. So that was not really a holdup. So we're excited about that. But it was $350 billion in small business loans. We started off at $300. Another $50 billion was added on because we really, as we started looking at the numbers, realized that you just had to put more money into small business. So that number got up to about $350 billion. I'll go back to that. $150 billion for healthcare system, another $150 billion for state and local governments, and then $1,200 checks for adults and $500 for kids. That's roughly kind of what I've seen since 2:00 this morning. It's about 1,000 pages. So still trying to go through that, but it's great news. Going back to the small business, John, $350 billion in loans. Most of this are going to be forgivable loans to small businesses, which effectively make some grants to pay for utilities, payroll, which is obviously the most important piece here, the payroll aspect of it, but utilities, rent. It's trying to keep our small businesses in Main Street America, what I call on standby versus complete shutdown. And I like to draw the analogy kind of to like a laptop or a computer, John. I think we all kind of have experienced do you shut it down completely and power it off, or do you keep it on standby so it's a quicker on when you need it? And that's what we're saying. Let's keep that economy. Let's keep our American workers and employees and small business owners of Main Street America on that standby mode, right? Because we're going to come out of this, John, in the next 45 days or so. There's going to be just so much pent-up demand. Americans will be ready to spend money again, get out there, go to restaurants, right? And we need our workers there, right? We need restaurants to be able to open quickly, hotels to be able to open quickly. The airline industry, we need to travel again, right? And life is going to get better very quickly here. And so this is a great way that small businesses can tap into these loans, which are basically going to be forgivable loans and grants effectively to keep their employees employed. You and I talked about this just a couple of days ago, how important it is for you to be able to keep your employees going rather than laying them all off, because then to hire them all back and retrain new people, it would be a disaster for you.
Let me ask you something, Alfredo. First of all, I just want to be sure that our audience knows, I want everybody to know what a key role Alfredo Ortiz and the Job Creators Network has played in crafting the small business legislation in this bailout. Alfredo, I know that you have worked tirelessly. You've been on the phone numerous times with Steve Mnuchin, Secretary of the Treasury, with Peter Navarro, with other people. You've been to the meetings, and many people now are looking directly to your organization, Alfredo, Job Creators Network, in order to give them guidance. So I just want to give you the shout out here. You have done a miraculous job. You understand it. I don't think this would have happened without your leadership. So thank you.
Well, no, I thank you. And look, I have to really give a shout out to two senators here, Senator Collins and Senator Rubio. They really deserve, their switchboard should be flooded with thanks because, assuming this passes, and I really do believe it's going to pass, They really were out there fighting for it. Marco Rubio, chairing the Senate's Small Business Committee. But those two were also fighting alongside with it. We gave them the support I think that they needed to make a difference, to make sure that this element, made it into the final bill. The provisions made it into the final bill. But they were great. And look, Secretary Mnuchin, another call out, another shout out. He was amazing, right? I mean, spending the time that he did in the middle of this economic crisis, to listen to our concerns, to listen to our ideas, you got to give him a lot of credit. And, I would say those three were really, really instrumental in making that happen. We were proud of our effort of fighting for small business owners. We were the first ones and only ones to drop that full-page ad, as you know, USA Today and Wall Street Journal across the board, so that people understood that small business is too big to fail, John. Small business in Main Street America and the employees and, they were the reason why we had this roaring economy. They're the ones that led us through this roaring economy that was just there a few weeks ago. And they are going to be the ones that are going to lead us out of it again. They are the backbone of our economy. It's ingenuity and innovation and just, the wonders of entrepreneurialism hard at play. And, again, they're going to be the ones that get us out of this as well. And so we're excited to be and honored to be part of this fight.
All right. Well, listen, fabulous job. Let's get to some of the details here for small businesses, and I want to get to accessing this. Sounds good on paper. Those of us that own a small business that have ever tried to go through the SBA or a bank, forget it. Takes weeks and weeks, fill out paperwork, then you don't have enough. What is this based on, this loan? Is it based on need? Is it based on receivables? Is it based on size? What is it based on, and how do you access it?
Yeah, working through all those details, but it's basically going to be based on your payroll. Because the whole idea of this is to try to make sure that you keep your employees on board, right? So the whole idea is really to, I call it not unemployment insurance, but I call it employment assurance, not to be confused with guaranteed income, which is the AOC thing.
Right.
But the idea here is just that employees are able to be kept on their payroll on this standby mode, right? So that employers don't have to scramble to go find them, after we get through this and once the economy comes roaring back. This allows your employees to just remain on your payroll. We're working, we presented something to Secretary Mnuchin, and just yesterday we presented something to Congressman Scalise as well, but trying to look at a different alternative in addition to the SBA loan, because I'll be honest with you, John, and I think you and I have talked about this as well. We both have applied to these SBA loans.
Forget it.
It's an arduous process. It's 3 to 5 months. Even on the best case scenario, right?
Just filling out the form, because we've been through this, Ann and I, a couple of times, just filling out the application all day. You start at 9, and by 5 o'clock, maybe you've got it done. It's that detailed. Now, one thing that somebody asked me, I got a text here from a business owner who said, I've only got one person on actual payroll. The majority of my employees are contractors 1099, where they don't work prescribed hours. Is that part of this? How is that accounted for? Great question.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. That's actually something that we're really diving into. The best answer I can have is stay tuned for that answer, because we're trying to understand exactly how that independent contractor, that's something we brought up a lot, is how does that 1099 benefit from this as well, because there are a lot of 1099s out there, John, as you know, and so
there's a lot of companies that's how they've built their companies, not with full-time employees, FTEs, if you will, a host of different contractors that work for them, but they're not directly paid through payroll, right? And you have to fit the criteria. You can't have set hours. You have to do your job, but you can't be there at a certain time. Like for my show, like Kiera, Derek, right? They have to be there at a certain time. They can't be contracts. They have to be payroll, because Kiera's got to be there at 5:30 a.m. Once you do that, you can't be a contractor. But we have other people that come in whenever they want, or they do ads for us or something. They can do those at midnight. So those are on a contract basis. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's right, John. We're going to work through that. It's to understand exactly the nuances. That's a specific thing. So at jobcreatorsnetwork.com, I just urge people to just keep on going there, get on our email list, because we're trying to keep people as updated as quickly as possible. The independent contractor, that 1099, is one specific one that I've asked my team to really understand. I'm bringing together some legal folks and CPAs and stuff like that to really go through this bill to understand the independent contractor, because that's a big part of our economy, to your listener's point. And so we want to make sure we provide the exact answer for that and the process to do that. Going back really quickly, John, on the SBA loan, one thing that we recommended is a quick application process. We actually have a one-pager that we recommended. I sent it up to Secretary Mnuchin. He likes what he saw. To be able to allow local banks, not just SBA lending programs, but basically go through, it's a one-page application, John. I'll actually send it to you. In fact, I would love your input. I think you'll like it, but it's a one-page application process that still can address the needs of tracking and everything that's needed in a loan. But the idea is you walk into that bank, whether it's a local bank, a community bank, regional bank, or even a branch of a larger bank like a Wells or a B of A. You walk into that bank, and 72 hours later, John, you'll have cash in the bank. What my justification on this is that nobody actually knows those merchants and those vendors across America. No one knows them better than the local banker, right? They know the businesses that are legit and those that aren't. My concern is, quite frankly, if you go through that SBA process, which is something in the cloud somewhere, people aren't going to know those businesses and which ones are really legit. So there's a lot of fraud potential there. So we're trying to minimize the fraud as well, but also expedite the processing to make sure that the cash is in banks and in the hands of small business owners ASAP, not 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks down the road, but I'm talking 72 hours. And that's really important. In fact, I have a senior contact at Wells Fargo that I was talking to yesterday. I sent him that information as well. Want to see if they can get acceptance, if Wells Fargo feels good about it, working with Treasury. So again, we're doing everything we can to try to, the operational aspects of this bill start working for our small business owners as quickly as possible.
I tell you what, I love what you guys have done. Alfredo Ortiz, the president and CEO of the Job Creators Network. You keep fighting for this. Get those 1099 people in there. That is critical to a lot of small companies who have, as I said, Alfredo, they've been able to build their company on a variety of different contractors. So see if that works for them. Doesn't affect us, but many of our listeners it does. But thank you for all you do, and let's get this thing done. One final question. The president yesterday on Fox Town Hall saying, hey, by Easter, I want to get the country reopened. Your thoughts on that quickly?
It's a goal, right? This is, I think, an ever-fluid situation. It changes daily. Hopefully through what is happening through the social distancing and all that, and attacking, some of the biggest issues. I mean, we definitely have areas and states that are real issues. Like New York, for example, is a major issue right now. And I think probably, my thinking is that the president's going to hit New York with everything it's got, because that seems to be now kind of the central area of concern, not Washington State, not California, but New York. So, look, you set a goal, and you just know that it could change. But if you can't set a goal, then you don't know what you're aiming for. So, I think everybody understood. I think everybody jumped on saying, "Oh, this is," you set a deadline. No, you just set a goal. And I think, as a business person, I think that's perfectly acceptable. But he's listening to his doctors, and I know he's ultimately going to do what's right, for our country. From that perspective, I fully believe that he's done it from day one, and fully confident about that. And John, if I could just do one shout out to make sure that your listeners, they go to jobcreatorsnetwork.com. It's jobcreatorsnetwork.com. Keep sending your ideas in. We're collecting ideas every single day, left and right. We love them. Some of them, some really, really fantastic ideas, that we're looking at. And the thing that makes this organization great, it's a collection of just, job creators, small business owners in particular. And so we know we all have gone through it or are currently going through all this different stuff together. And so, that's why we're excited that, the folks up in D.C. are listening to us. And, again, we're excited for what we're seeing so far, and keep sending, and through your show, John, too, if you get ideas, please send them our way as well.
All right, Alfredo Ortiz, President, CEO of Job Creators Network. Alfredo, thanks for all you do, man. Thank you.
Thank you, John.